Welcome to the debate. Today, we're diving into the strategic side of things for the upcoming UFC Noche 3 main card. That's set for Saturday, September 13th, 2025, down at the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas. It's an event celebrating Mexican Independence Day, and it really promises a fascinating clash of styles. The big question we're tackling is this: how is this unique mix of, veteran experience and the sheer energy of surging prospects going to play out in these key main card fights? And maybe more importantly, what specific factors, stats, momentum, fight IQ are really going to decide who gets their hand raised?
My analysis generally is going to lean on the proven track record, the strategic depth of let's call them the established fighters. And I'm coming at this from a bit of a different angle. I really believe the explosive potential, that recent momentum, and frankly, the rapidly evolving skill sets of the younger, hungrier contenders, that's going to be the defining story here.
Right. So my perspective, just to lay it out, is that proven experience, that strategic adaptability, knowing how to navigate those deep waters, that's going to be decisive at Noche UFC 3. Look, fresh talent brings excitement, absolutely. But the rigorous demands of top-level competition, they often favor fighters who've consistently shown a complete game. Resilience over 5 rounds, maybe, and the smarts to exploit an opponent's inexperience or maybe their over-aggression. So I'll be arguing for the established vets, drawing on their extensive history and refined fight IQ against the raw, though I admit, potent attributes of their less tested opponents on this card.
And I'm arguing that the surging momentum, that raw finishing power, and just the rapid skill development we see in these younger guys, the hungrier ones, that's what dictates the outcomes. I mean, the fight game is constantly evolving, right? And prospects often bring this unpredictable, aggressive style that can frankly overwhelm even the most seasoned veterans. I'm going to be highlighting the explosive nature, the speed, the finishing instincts of these rising stars. My argument is that their recent performances, their untapped potential, it allows them to disrupt the established order and grab these pivotal wins. It really is about who's peaking now, not necessarily who's had the longest career or, faced the most legends way back when.
Okay. With our core arguments set, let's dive into the fights, starting with the featherweight main event. Diego Lopes versus Jean Silva. Now, my pick here is Lopes. Maybe walk us through your reasoning first on this one.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Silva here, actually. Look, Lopes' experience is there. I get that. Facing Volkanovski, even in a loss, that's valuable. But Silva's momentum, it's absolutely undeniable. 16-2 record, 5 straight finishes in the UFC. I mean, stopping Melsik Baghdasaryan with strikes, submitting Bryce Mitchell, that's serious business. His striking is lightning fast, explosive. What is it, 4.87 significant strikes per minute at 52% accuracy? That's way higher than Lopes' 3.70 at 47%. He's just a wrecking machine who can overwhelm guys. And his grappling solid too, great scrambles. He capitalizes on those defensive lapses, kind of like Volkanovski did against Lopes, landing shots at the end of exchanges. Plus his build, it's similar to guys Lopes has struggled with before. I think his speed and power might just be too much. I could honestly see a knockout for Silva, maybe in the earlier rounds. And don't forget, his Fighting Nerds teammates lost recently. That could add some serious fuel to his fire, make a statement.
Okay. That's a strong case for Silva's dynamism. But my conviction is firmly with Diego Lopes. Yes, Silva's aggression is appealing, but Lopes' competition level, it's just significantly higher. That Volkanovski fight, even though a loss, it demonstrates a different kind of competitive fortitude. It's not just a name on the record. It's proof he can hang at the absolute highest level. Go 5 rounds. Lopes 26-7-0. He's got real physical advantages too. He's 4 inches taller, 5'11" to Silva's 5'7", and crucially, 3 inches more reach, 72-69.
Right, the physical stats.
Exactly, and those aren't just numbers on a page, they're tools. Tools to control distance, land his power striking from outside, keep it safer for his BJJ entries if he needs them, and we've seen documented improvement in his wrestling. Add that to his sort of stoic, systematic approach, that relentless forward pressure, the power striking. I think he can weather Silva's early storm. He hasn't been stopped since 2018, remember. I see him systematically breaking Silva down. His refined technique, I believe, neutralizes that raw explosiveness you mentioned.
We'll see if that technique holds up against Silva's speed. All right, moving on, bantamweight. Rob Font versus David Martinez. Who are you backing here?
My pick here is Rob Font. Look, Font, he's 38 now, 22-8 record. He's the classic veteran gatekeeper, isn't he? Got that long 71-inch reach and a reputation for just unreal toughness. Never been knocked out in his career. Now, yeah, his record before moving to TriStar might look a bit shaky, like 1 win in 5 fights or something, but the move to TriStar, it's clearly paid off. We saw it in those recent decision wins over tough guys like Kyler Phillips and Gene Matsumartos. Martinez, stepping in short notice for Rosas Jr., he's definitely a prospect, 12-1, no doubt, but he simply hasn't faced anyone near Font's caliber. Font's rangy jab, his ability to just pick guys apart from distance, I think that's going to be too sophisticated for Martinez, who tends to be aggressive, swing hard, plus the pressure of a high-profile fight like this against a guy like Font who's seen it all, that could easily overwhelm Martinez.
See, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that those 2 recent wins totally erase the struggles Font had just before that. I mean, losing more than winning at the elite level, that's a real pattern. Martinez, he's 27, he's riding an 8-fight win streak, including that dominant first-round stoppage in his UFC debut against Oliveira. Taking this fight on short notice, that shows serious moxie and self-belief, right? This kid is ready, he's eager to make a statement. And let's be honest, Font is beatable by faster and more explosive guys. That's been the blueprint. Martinez has exactly that kind of power and youth. Yeah, Font's tough, unbelievably tough, but Martinez's striking is excellent. He's got that killer instinct. I think he could find a way through Font's defense, especially if Font's age, the wear and tear, starts to show against a relentless young fighter. I'm actually predicting Martinez to pull off the upset here.
Interesting. Okay, next up, lightweight, Rafa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. My money is firmly on Gordon in this one.
Okay, make the case for Gordon.
Well, Gordon, 21-7, 1 NC. He's just shown a higher pedigree against tougher opponents again and again. He pushed Paddy Pimblett right to the edge, a fight a lot of people thought he won. Then he comes back and gets a first-round KO over Thiago Moises. Pretty impressive. His coaches have even talked about robberies in past decisions against guys like Bobby Green, Nasrat Hasper. If even one of those went his way, his record looks even better. Gordon's got great striking. He's well-rounded. Honestly, I think he's genuinely underrated and should probably be ranked. He just has the tools to outclass Garcia. Garcia, look, he's improved 5-2 since starting in the UFC. I'll give him that. But he just doesn't have the same high-level wins on his record as Gordon. Gordon's consistency at that higher level, that's the difference maker for me.
That's a compelling argument for Gordon's toughness. His resume, definitely. But I think it kind of overlooks Rafa Garcia's significant growth. Garcia's 17-4 now. He really has consistently evolved since those early UFC losses. He's 5-2 now in the promotion, right? And wins over veterans like Clay Guida, Vince Bachel. That shows adaptability. It shows a sharpened skill set against tricky styles. And while Gordon's got good arguments, his career's also had its inconsistencies. Here's a key stat for me. Garcia's takedown defense, 77%. That's solid. That could largely neutralize some of Gordon's grappling threat, force the fight where Garcia might prefer it, standing. In a fight where both guys, they come to swing, they're both looking for that consistency to maybe crack the rankings, Garcia's steady progression, his durability, I think that could let him edge out a decision, especially if Gordon gets a bit too aggressive and leaves openings. I'm actually leaning towards Garcia by decision here, reflecting his evolution.
The takedown defense is a good point. Okay, transitioning to a crucial middleweight bout. Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. For this clash, I am siding with Kelvin Gastelum.
All right, Gastelum. Why, despite the recent skid?
My pick for Gastelum, it really stems from his pedigree. Yeah, recent inconsistencies, the loss to Joe Pyfer, I see that. But Kelvin's a tough winner, UFC Hall of Famer. He's still a formidable guy, 17-9, 1 NC. He's got that legendary chin made out of steel, right? Never been knocked out. And he's consistently fought the absolute elite, Whitaker, Adesanya, the list goes on. He's just technically cleaner, more fundamentally sound than Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus, he's struggled against better grapplers,
And what, only 3 wins in 9 UFC fights? Gastelum's massive experience edge, his superior technique. Even if people say he's too small for 185, I think that allows him to control this fight. Maybe even find a submission against Stoltzfus, who has been finished before. That deep experience at the very top should be too much here.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning, mainly because Gastelum's inconsistency is such a huge factor. I mean, 3 wins in his last 9 fights. That's a serious struggle to find consistency. Now, Stoltzfus, 16-7, yeah, his record's inconsistent too, fair enough. But his last win was a stoppage over Marc-Andre Barriault. He showed he can finish, showed resilience. Both guys are definitely looking to get back into the win column, no question. And Stoltzfus has shown a toughness that maybe his record doesn't fully reflect. Given Gastelum's, his documented issues with the weight class and how he looked against Pfeiffer getting dropped early, there's a clear opening for Stoltzfus, I think. If he can capitalize on any defensive mistakes, any slow start from Kelvin, especially if he avoids the ground game, keeps it standing where his power could be a surprise factor. I'm actually taking Stoltzfus to pull off the upset here.
Bold call. All right, next, Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira, lightweight. My pick here is Ferreira.
Okay, Ferreira at 40. Against Hernandez on a win streak? Explain that one.
My confidence in Ferreira, despite being 40, it rests on his technical skill. He's a third-degree BJJ black belt, deep UFC experience, and crucially, he's had a full camp to prepare for this. Hernandez, he's taken this on a super quick turnaround, right? Just fought and dominated Chase Hooper last month. Now, Hernandez, 15-9, he absolutely shows that quickness, strength, determination, power early on. We all see it. But he often slows, doesn't he? His cardio, or lack thereof, it often exposes him in the later rounds. Ferreira's ability to control the pace, use that aggressive forward pressure, weather the early storm, I think that plays right into Hernandez's potential late-fight weaknesses. It leads to a more developed, complete performance from the veteran. Over 3 rounds, I see Ferreira as the more experienced, stronger, and just more complete mixed martial artist.
I hear you on the full camp versus short notice. That's valid. But I think Hernandez's recent momentum just cannot be overstated. He is coming off that powerful first-round KO of Chase Hooper just last month. That extends his win streak to 3. This isn't just a blip. The guy is clearly hitting his stride right now. Plus, and this can be a big deal, it's a hometown fight for the Great Ape in San Antonio. That crowd energy, that can give a significant boost, Often underestimated. Yeah, Ferreira's experienced, but he is 40. And his last loss to Grant Dawson, that was a grappling-heavy fight, wasn't it? That's not really Hernandez's main weapon. Hernandez's early explosiveness, his power, especially with the home crowd behind him, I think that can easily get him an early finish against Ferreira, who, let's face it, has also shown he can be susceptible to getting stopped early. That recency bias you kind of hinted at, maybe it's justified here. Hernandez looks like he's in peak form, ready to capitalize.
Okay, opening up the main card then. Santiago Luna versus Kwang Le, another lightweight bout. My pick here is Santiago Luna.
The debutant over the guy with UFC experience? All right.
My pick for Luna, it's really driven by his phenomenal potential. Luna, perfect 6-0 record. He's coming in undefeated, 21 years old, short notice debut, out of a good camp, Entrom Gym. And all 6 wins inside the distance. That screams finishing ability. This is the perfect stage, really, for a dynamic prospect like him to make a huge impression. Kwang Le, yeah, he has UFC experience, but let's be fair, some analysts have said he hasn't really shown that he's UFC level, right? Lost 2 of his first 3 in the promotion. Luna's raw, explosive finishing power, plus maybe a boost from the home crowd. I could genuinely see a quick knockout here. He's a real wild card poised to make a statement.
That's an interesting point about Luna's raw potential. Definitely exciting. Though I'd frame the situation a bit differently for Lefebvre. Okay, Luna's intriguing, absolutely. But Lefebvre, he's 29. He has navigated the UFC Octagon before, even if the results were mixed. He does have that second-round submission win over Gaston Bolanos, so he can finish at this level. He's faced higher-level guys, faced the unique pressures of the big show. That shouldn't be just dismissed, even with inconsistent performances. The pressure of a UFC debut, even undefeated, it can be immense. Debut jitters are real. Guys get over-aggressive, make mistakes. Lefebvre's experience against different styles, and hey, he lost his debut on short notice too, so he knows that feeling. That could let him capitalize on any lapses from Luna. I actually think Lefay's Octagon time, that experience dealing with the bright lights, that'll be the difference maker. I'm leaning Lefay.
Okay, so as we've gone through each of these compelling matchups on the Noche UFC 3 main card, it's pretty clear, isn't it? Each fight really presents this unique tension. It's the strategic depth of the seasoned veterans versus the raw, explosive potential of these rising contenders. My arguments, as we've heard, have really emphasized that tactical discipline, that tested resilience, the refined fight IQ of veterans like Lopes, like Font. I believe that will ultimately prevail. It demonstrates that raw power, while exciting, often meets its match against that nuanced understanding of championship-level fighting.
And I'd say this discussion has only reinforced my conviction that the dynamic power, the rapid skill evolution, the undeniable momentum of these hungry prospects. I mean, from Silva's devastating finishes to Martinez taking that fight on short notice, it signifies a shift. A shift where raw, untamed potential can indeed overwhelm even the most seasoned competitors. Their hunger, their explosive capabilities. It's a genuine force to be reckoned with, and I think it's capable of disrupting that established order we talked about.
Absolutely. The stats, the recent fights, even those psychological bits like the hometown crowd or team momentum, it all just adds layers of complexity, makes predicting these things tough, but fascinating. Whether it's the experience and refined technique that wins out, or if sheer aggression and that rapid skill development carries the day, well, that remains to be seen on fight night.
Exactly. These are the kinds of, nuanced debates that really show the sport's true depth, intellectually speaking. Hopefully this discussion has offered maybe a deeper understanding of the compelling arguments on both sides of the coin for these matchups.
Indeed, and there is certainly more to explore in the material as Noche UFC 3 gets closer.